There comes a moment when standing still becomes more painful than stepping into the unknown. A moment when you realize that the fear of trying is smaller than the regret of never knowing. You feel it late at night, in the quiet moments, when distractions fade. You know you're meant for more. You know you're capable of more. And yet, you hesitate. Because the unknown feels dangerous, and staying where you are feels easier than risking what could be. But here's the truth. Nothing extraordinary ever happens to the people who refuse to move. And the question you keep avoiding is simple. What happens if you take the leap? Most people don't fail because they tried and lost. They fail because they never tried at all. They don't lose because they weren't good enough. They lose because they waited too long. They stand at the edge of their potential, thinking, planning, preparing, convincing themselves they'll start soon. Soon when they feel ready. Soon when conditions are perfect. But the moment never comes. Because confidence isn't something you wait for, and clarity isn't something you find sitting still. They are built through action. Your life does not change through intention. It changes through movement. And until you move, nothing changes. Standing at the edge feels safe. You haven't failed yet. You haven't embarrassed yourself yet. And as long as you don't leap, you don't lose. But you also don't win. You just live in fear. And fear disguises itself as logic. It tells you to wait, to gather more information, to prepare a little longer. And preparation slowly becomes procrastination. You tell yourself you're being responsible, but deep down, you know the truth. You're afraid of what might happen if you try. So you stay where you are. Not miserable, but not fulfilled either. Comfortable enough to survive, uncomfortable enough to feel stuck. That's the edge. Fear is not a warning sign. It's a signal. It means you're close to something meaningful. Every time you step toward growth, fear shows up. Not to stop you, but to test you. Fear asks, how badly do you want this? Are you willing to risk comfort for potential? Are you willing to bet on yourself? The goal is not to eliminate fear. The goal is to move with it. Courage is not confidence. Courage is action despite uncertainty. And every person who ever changed their life felt exactly what you're feeling right now. They just moved anyway. Here's what no one tells you. Most of the time, you don't fall. You adjust. You stumble forward. You learn faster than you ever did standing still. You don't suddenly become fearless. You become capable. You gain clarity through movement, strength through effort, confidence through repetition. And even when things don't go as planned, you gain something priceless: experience. Experience sharpens your instincts. Experience builds resilience. And it teaches you what works and what doesn't. And when you try again, you don't come back weaker. You come back wiser. Staying still feels safe. There's no risk, no exposure, no chance of failure. You wake up knowing what the day will look like. You know the routine. And on the surface, that feels like peace. But over time, that safety becomes a cage. Days start to blur together. Weeks pass without meaning. Months slip by unnoticed. Nothing is wrong, but nothing is right either. You're not miserable, you're just unfulfilled. And that's the most dangerous place to live. Because staying still slowly drains your ambition. It dulls your hunger. It convinces you that this is just how life is. You stop expecting more from yourself. You stop believing that change is possible. Not because you're incapable, but because comfort numbs the urgency to act. And then something shifts. You start feeling frustrated for no clear reason. You feel restless but unsure why. And maybe you feel tired, even though nothing has changed. That's not laziness. That's unused potential. That's the part of you that knows you were meant for more than repeating the same days on loop. The cost of staying still is subtle at first. It doesn't hit you all at once, but it shows up as a quiet sense of regret, a constant feeling of almost, a voice in your head asking, "Is this it?" And the longer you stay, the louder that voice becomes. Until one day, you realize you didn't lose your dream because you failed. You lost it because you never gave it a chance. And that realization hurts more than any failure ever could. Because failure at least means you tried. Failure means you moved. And even if you fail, you can always try again. But staying still leaves you with questions instead of lessons, with regret instead of growth. Both options are painful, so why not choose the one with a better ending? The pain of discipline fades, the pain of effort passes, but the pain of regret lingers. It stays with you in quiet moments, in late nights, in conversations with yourself. And that's the real cost of not taking the leap. Not the fall, not the risk. The slow realization that you could have become more, but chose comfort instead. The leap doesn't always look dramatic. It's not always quitting everything overnight. It's not always a bold, public move. Sometimes the leap is quiet. It's sending the message you've been avoiding. It's starting the habit you keep delaying. Small leaps compound. One step creates momentum. Momentum builds belief. Belief changes behavior, and behavior changes your life. You don't need all the answers. You just need to trust that you will figure them out as you go. You have adapted before. You have survived uncertainty before. You have grown through challenge before. This is no different. The version of you on the other side of the leap is stronger than the one standing still. Not because the path is easy, but because growth builds strength. Failure is not the enemy. Inaction is. Failure teaches you what to improve. It forces you to adapt. It sharpens your direction. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you can count. They didn't win because they were fearless. They won because they kept moving. They leaped. They adjusted. They leaped again. Life does not reward waiting. It responds to movement. The moment you leap, new paths appear. New people enter your world. New opportunities reveal themselves. But only after you move. You cannot see the full staircase from the bottom. You see the next step after you take the first one. If you're listening to this, you already know what your leap is. You've felt it tugging at you. You've thought about it more than you admit. You've delayed it long enough. And deep down, you know this. Waiting won't make it easier, and thinking won't make it clearer. Only action will. So take the leap. Not because it's guaranteed to work, but because staying where you are guarantees that nothing will change. Leap before you feel ready. Leap while your hands shake. Leap while your heart races. You don't need certainty, you need courage. Because on the other side of the leap is clarity, growth, a version of you who no longer wonders what if. So just take the leap and see what happens.